All right, so this is going to be a video focusing on reading in our textbook with GOT. So you hopefully have this textbook, Environment Science Behind the Stories. This is going to be for topic 1.1, which is Introduction to Ecosystems. And we're going to start here on page 76 under the heading of Species Interactions right there. And we're going to be reading until page 80, stopping where this new heading is Ecological Communities. Now, if you want to read every word, that's fine. If you just want to focus on some of the things I talk about, that's fine too. Whatever works for you. I would prefer that you do some reading and note-taking from the textbook, though. So, topic 1.1, our learning objective here is to explain how the availability of resources influences species interactions. And as I said in our last video, a really easy way to turn that into an essential question for our notes is how do the availability of resources influence species interactions? And the first thing I want to bring to your attention here on page 76 about species interaction is table 4.1, and there's a little bit of shadow here, so I'm going to move this out of the way temporarily. But table 4.1 does a really good job of summarizing species interactions. So with that said, you should be able to summarize table 4.1 in your own words. If you aren't able to clearly explain what table 4.1 means, then you may not have a fully robust understanding of species interactions when it comes to mutualism, predation, parasitism, and herbivory, and competition. So the first species interaction that the book is going to cover is competition. And you want to make sure you can explain what competition is between organisms, what they're competing over, where they're competing, and what drives competition. And there are types of competition, intraspecific and interspecific competition. So it's important that you know the difference between those two types of competition. And you want to be able to explain, as you read here, how competition can affect the population of a species. And figure 4.2, these two graphs, does a pretty good job of explaining how competition can affect populations of species. The other thing I want to bring your attention to is, as you read, is resource partitioning and how competition can lead to resource partitioning. So, and I'm going to give this question to you kind of as an open-ended question. And there's no right or wrong answer here. It's kind of a thinking question. Are humans occupying their fundamental or realized niche? And how well do we humans partition our resources? And so as you read, think about those two questions, and I'm going to leave a prompt for you to respond, and make sure you include those thoughts as part of your notes. And as we move on, so page 78 is all about exploitive interactions. And there's three types. There's predator-prey, which are probably the relationships between species you're most familiar with. There's parasitism, which you might be aware of. And then there's herbivory, which maybe you didn't think of as an exploitive relationship between plants and animals, but it is an exploitive relationship. So make sure you understand those three terms and what they mean. And there are some important things about pathogens here in parasitism and coevolution, which we'll get into in more depth in coming topics. And then as we move on to page 80, we're going to talk about mutualistic relationships and what you should be able to explain what a mutualistic relationship is. And you should also be aware that pollination is a very vital mutualistic relationship. And once you've reached here in your textbook, you're done with topic 1.1, and we will move on to topic 1.2, which is terrestrial biomes.